We are recording.
Sounds good.
Good. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our third electronic Zoom meeting. Just to recap what we do, our meetings are usually broken into two distinct areas. The first meeting will be called workshop. This is when the council reviews the items that are on the actual meeting that we will act on. So we'll go from workshop meeting, and then we will go to our
Uh-oh.
Lost the mayor.
Yeah.
I'll get him and see if I can.
got it.
Okay, Mayor, go ahead.
Good, very, very good. Well, it's our only third Zoom meeting, so a few glitches here and there. So that basically summarizes the evening. The first part is called workshop, then we'll go into the general meeting. And at this point, I'd like to ask our town manager if he would like to discuss the entire Zoom process with our neighbors on the call tonight.
Sure, Mayor. So for anyone that will be on and listening tonight, if you're doing it from a PC, a laptop, or a tablet, you will hear and see the council and hear attendees' questions. If during the public portions of the meeting or during the public hearing on ordinances, if you would just, you have a raise your hand function that you can press. If you don't have a raise your hand function, if you go down to your reactions and put up the thumbs up, I will see that and then unmute you so you can ask a question. We do ask that you please state your name and address to the clerk for recording purposes, and then you'll be able to ask your question. If you don't have any of that and you are calling in by a phone, again, remember everything is, everyone is muted until we allow you to speak during those two portions of the meeting. But if you're on a phone, the best way to do that is to, you won't be able to ask a question unless you most likely would have to email me your question, and which I will read aloud, and I will need you to state your name and address also. My email address is Bryan, BRYAN .Russell, RUSSELL, at aberdeenNJ.org. And that will, if I see an email during that time period, I keep checking it all the time. At those portions, again, I will say your name and address and then read your question for you so the mayor and council can hear it. Rather than that, Mayor, back to you.
Very good. Thank you, Brian, very much. And welcome to the Aberdeen Township Workshop Meeting for Thursday, May 7th. Madam Clerk, can you do the roll call, please?
Councilman Cannon. Councilman Cannon.
Sorry about that. Here.
Councilman Hirsch.
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Here.
Councilwoman Montone.
Here.
Councilman Swindell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Here.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Here, thank you very much. Mr. Manager, would you kindly walk us through the workshop meeting?
Sure. Tonight we have 4 things for workshop. Number 1 is an ordinance authorizing the permanent drainage easement for portions of 38 West Concourse. And the ordinance is included in your packet. If there's any questions on that, I actually would need to, I will turn that over to Michael, our township attorney. And if there's any engineering technical questions, I do have Anthony from CME on the call just to answer any technicals that you may have. Rather than that, there's nothing else that's really on that ordinance for going through. Number 2 is extending the second quarter 2020 grace period to June 1st, 2020. That's the property tax payments. Yes, you of course remember that you did do that at the last meeting, but the governor did, as of last week, extend it as well through executive order, and we do have to abide by his executive order, so we have to just change our resolutions. You're rescinding last month's resolution and then passing a new one for the grace period. Item number 3 is supporting the Green Amendment to the New Jersey State Constitution. If you remember, I think it was 3 or 4 meetings ago, we had a presentation in council chambers, and this resolution is just now supporting that presentation that was given to all of you that evening. And number 4 is authorizing the participation in the Safe and Secure Communities Program. And again, if there's any questions on that grant, which is actually a normal grant that we get every year here in town, I do have our police chief, of course, is on the call that could answer any questions there if need be as well. So is there any questions from mayor and council on any of those items this evening?
Could Anthony give us just a general factual background of the 38 West Concourse easement?
Sure.
At least the public knows what's.
I can do it too if you want, Anthony, if you want just some of the legal background first.
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the property 38 West Concourse, at the beginning of this year, the property was purchased by an individual, and their attorney, Dante Alfieri, reached out to us because when they were going through the process of purchasing it, they came across an old ordinance in the town that actually hadn't been recorded, but they found it, I'm assuming through their title search, and it was an ordinance that was passed in 2010, and by that ordinance, the township vacated a portion of this property. Within that vacation and the ordinance itself, there was a prohibition on any subdivision of the property once the portion that was conveyed by the town was given to the landowners. There was also in that ordinance contemplated an easement for purposes of preventing the subdivision, but also there's a sewer pipe there for drainage purposes. So the new purchaser came in and found this and went and looked to see if there was an actual easement connected to the ordinance that was passed, because he's knocking the house down and he wanted to make sure that he was doing everything in line with what may or may not be on file. So sure enough, an easement had never been taken by the town pursuant to this ordinance. So the engineer, myself, and DPW, they went out, they took a look at the property, and they determined that they do need a drainage and a conservation maintenance easement with the property. Sorry about my daughter there. Hi, Emerson. And so anyway, so we're actually now enacting the easement that was contemplated by the ordinance, just to kind of make sure that the title and everything is okay on the property.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right. And if I may, I'd just like to expand. It's been a while since we had that fabulous presentation by the Delaware River Authority folks. The item number 3 is basically that the Aberdeen Council feels strongly that we're all entitled to clean water, clean air, and a healthy environment. And so we are supporting an amendment to assure our environmental rights are kept. So that's number 3. And does anybody else on council have any other questions or clarifications?
No, I'm in favor. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can I have a motion from the deputy mayor to go from workshop to the regular meeting?
Motion to move from workshop to regular meeting?
Second.
Great. Thank you very much. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the general public and has been posted in public places. The open public meeting of this council will probably be on Zoom, May 21st, 2020. Welcome to the Aberdeen Township Council meeting for Thursday, May 7th, 2020. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Cannon.
Here.
Councilman Hirsch.
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Here.
Councilwoman Montone.
Here, but can I just say that I'm getting some texts from members of the public who are saying that they're not getting anything. They're not getting the meeting. So I got 2 texts. I don't know if that's affecting everybody else.
Right now, we have no one in the waiting room. We have 44 participants on the Zoom right now.
Yeah, I don't know. A few people have said that they're not hearing anything, I guess.
Oh, if they're already on?
Yeah.
They have to hit connect to audio. It
I
should
think
be in their
these are,
left corner.
I think these are people who do it all the time, so I don't know what the deal is. I'm passing a message.
Councilman Swindell.
Yes. Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Here.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. At this point in the meeting, we always have a moment of silence, and we always start by keeping the men and women of our armed forces in our thoughts as they protect us here on the soil in the United States and on foreign soil to help us and permit us to meet in meetings as we're having tonight. Of course, in the time that we're living right now, we must include in our thoughts all the brave police and firemen and first responders and CERT members who are protecting us here in Aberdeen. And of course, on a grander scale, let's keep in mind all the heroic doctors and nurses and technicians that are working day and night to find a cure for this awful virus. So let's have a moment of silence for all of them. And I also invite you to include any personal intentions that you have in your thoughts for tonight. Thank you, everybody, very much. And traditionally, we always have a salute to our flag. So I'll have to use my trusty little flag that I've been using the past meetings. I'll display it on the screen, and wherever you are, please do the salute to our flag of our great nation. You've all been so kind to do that. And I'll just start off with, I pledge allegiance
To the flag. United States.
To the republic.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. At this point, we all have some reports we'd like to give. And basically, what I would like to start off with before we get into meetings about the parks and census and everything else that's going on in Aberdeen as business as usual. Again, I welcome you to the Aberdeen Township meeting for May 7th. First of all, we just had a wonderful weekend, and the police will have this, chief will have this in his police report. But I'd like to thank you on behalf of the council for basically keeping social distancing rules in effect in our parks and our seawall. I'd also like to thank you all very, very much for also using a mask when you go out to do your shopping. And I would like very much, I know Brittany will get into this also. Brittany will probably put up our website. And right now in these times, we're very fortunate to have the type of electronics that keep us all connected, even though from our homes. So please go to our website, sign up for Code Red Alert, sign up for your Nixle reports, because we put more information up on our website than we care to do. It's the result is Brian and I are in meetings with the White House, the county freeholders, and everybody else that gives us information to help us help you. So please do that for us. And one of the new phrases, our catchphrases, when Brian and I were working one afternoon, just help us help you to keep our parks and seawall open. And we'll do that because we all need to get out for our own little mental health. So please do that for us. And what I'd like very much also do is put a plug in for some of our great restaurants and delis and Italian specialty stores that are really open right now for all of us. So maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea if we treated Mom to some takeout on Sunday for Mother's Day, and at the same time help our fabulous restaurants that are open right across town, all the way from the beach area up to 34. And so they're open to service, and they have been just doing a fabulous job. So thank you for just letting me say that. And right now, I'd like to start the committee reports by calling on our Chief of Police.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Manager, Clerk. We'll start off with our personnel. Since the last time we spoke, we had some people that were just coming back to work. I'm happy to report we're just about up to full strength as far as our personnel go. We're waiting for 2 people to come back. We expect them back very shortly, and then we'll be in good shape, real good shape. We continue to monitor everybody in the police department as they report for work. We take their temperature and check for symptoms. That's all recorded. So far, so good. We purchased a 55-gallon drum of sanitizer. So after each car is used, it gets sanitized. That's after every shift. The offices are sanitized 1 to 2 times a week. The cell block area. So as far as that goes, everything's going good as far as the personnel go. Personal protective equipment, we all know that's in demand. We opened up an account with Amazon. Most of the things that we've ordered are in back order. We have received some equipment, but we're thankful to Senator Gopal, who's donated some personal protective equipment. The Monmouth County Office of Emergency Management has provided us with equipment. We've had some personal donations. We appreciate that. And obviously through some of our vendors, we're able to supply us with things. So right now we feel comfortable that we have an adequate supply of personal protective equipment to keep our folks safe. And then we'll continue to look for sources of that equipment. As far as the operation department, we continue to participate daily on the COVAStat meetings held at the Rock in Trenton by the state police, and also the weekly OEM meetings conducted by Monmouth County, and those keep us updated. There's a lot of information that comes out, as you well know, and there's a lot of information to weed through. As far as the social distancing, I gotta thank Ken Marr, our code enforcement officer. He stepped up and he helps us out. He's monitoring our food stores and our businesses, making sure people are wearing their masks, keeping their distance, limits on the occupancy, the 50% occupancy. What some people may not realize that our food stores have a pretty high occupancy number, and so they can put half of those in. So it's a big number that go into these stores. With the parks, we took the basketball hoops down a couple of weeks ago. That's been helping out in the parks. Down the beachfront, that's our new concern at the moment. With the nicer weather, the big increase in people along the seawall, on the beach, and along Beach Drive. We've had to limit parking on Beach Drive. And that was in response to some complaints that we received. It's the striper run. We have a lot of out-of-town visitors, fishermen that come in. So we limited parking. Also, we prohibited anybody from being on the unimproved portion of the seawall. And what I call the unimproved portion of the seawall is that area behind the houses along Beach Drive. The top of the seawall doesn't have a blacktop sidewalk to walk on. It doesn't have handrails. It doesn't have lighting. We had some issues there with garbage and alcohol and the like, so we closed that down. Our officers have been out on the UTV on the weekends, monitoring the activity on the beachfront, up and down on both ends of the beach, and so far that's been going fairly well. Like I said, we'll continue. We have a few more things that we're going to do down the beach is when the weather gets nicer, and as the governor starts to slowly open things up, it's going to be more of a challenge. One of the biggest things that we're faced with right now are some frauds that are occurring. One's called the bail fraud. It's targeted towards seniors, and that's where these individuals call and say that they have a family member that's in trouble and they're in jail and they need bail money, and we'll come pick it up from you and we'll park around the corner so we don't embarrass you. And some people are, they're very convincing and they pick on our seniors. This is a statewide problem. There's an active investigation. Some suspects have been targeted, and hopefully that'll be brought, that'll be cleared up soon. But Britt put some information out about that on the on Nixle and the website, and we're probably going to put a code red out as well. And the last point, we're slowly moving towards Memorial Day. We usually have a ceremony to honor our firemen and most importantly, our veterans. And so those plans are still underway. And next week, I'm going to meet with myself and Chief Falco from Mattawan, with the superintendent, Dr. Micah, to discuss plans for high school graduation and a middle school graduation. So hopefully we can come up with a plan that's acceptable for everybody. And that's about it.
Well, Chief, thank you very much. And it's important to say to you that please give my very best to your entire staff and your executive staff and all the patrol folks for the job they're doing. And under your leadership, we're in very, very good hands. So thank you so very much on behalf of the entire council.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be sure to pass that along to everyone.
Please do.
Thank you
very much. The next report I would like to call on Councilman Cannon for a report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I recently received the monthly report from the township engineer. I wanted to update the public on our road program, which continues as essential in most cases, with one exception, which I'll bring up. So at this point, we have Ambler Court and Lane. That work's been completed, but there's joint repairs and some punch list items to do in the spring. On Deerfield Lane, we're expecting P&A, who's our contractor there, who won the bid, to start back up actually in 4 days on Monday to start work on Deerfield finally, which I know the council will be happy to hear, and I'm certain the residents on Deerfield will be happy to hear. I'm currently doing test pits on Deerfield and Dawn, anticipating starting on Monday. In terms of Cliffwood Avenue, the engineers prepared the bid specs. The base bid will be from Shady Nook and Center to Lennox, with Sweetbriar to Shady Nook and Center as alternate one, and going all the way to Short Concourse, which I believe should be South Concourse, as alternate B there. And that's our grant, as you recall, our $350,000 we were awarded from the state. There's some disappointing news in light of the COVID-19 is that New Jersey Natural Gas does not consider finishing or continuing relocating the gas line on Sherwood Drive as a essential or something that's high on their priority list given the crisis. So New Jersey Natural Gas is shut down on those kind of work on our behalf, and we cannot do the street until that line is moved. And so we keep our fingers crossed, along for many other reasons, that the crisis subsides and we can move forward on Sherwood. In terms of some of the things we recently took action on, as you recall, we passed a number of resolutions authorizing the engineer to put together our 2020 roads, which is Cortland Lane, Cornell Way, and County Road. And the survey crew is out there doing the field work, and they're going to put the base maps together for the design team, and they're going to move forward on that. As well, the engineer is preparing, as we authorized, I can't remember if it was 2 meetings ago or 1 meeting ago, forgive me either way, but they're also starting on Van Brackle and Hawthorne with the mill and overlays and getting those specs together. And we also, of course, authorized the roadway and infrastructure improvements on Locust Court, Meinsner, the Van Cleef block, to improve all the sewers and water over there. It's about 100 years old, and finally give them a real street. The survey crew's been out there as well. So we're moving forward with road projects, notwithstanding the crisis, with the exception of Sherwood, because we're relying on New Jersey Natural Gas, but otherwise going forward pretty well. And the only thing that I did not mention on here, which I think is on our list to consider coming up in the short future, although I understand our manager is working on, is Atlantic Avenue. That we resolved with Matawan, the Matawan Aberdeen part, which is the hump in the road, for lack of a better term, down to the train station. But we still need to figure out what to do with our water line and the street coming back towards Church Street in front of the high school. And we have a long break of school as well, so we have a little bit more time than we ordinarily would during a summer break. But see what happens. That's the report on the roads. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. It sounds like business as usual. So that's a great report. Can I call on Deputy Mayor Martucci right now for his report? Deputy Mayor? Okay, maybe just a little glitch. Why don't we go to Councilman Hirsch? Councilman Hirsch?
It looks like Deputy Mayor may be back with us.
Okay, go ahead, take it off there, and you finish up yours. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did not hear that.
All right, Deputy Mayor, let's go with you. Thank you.
Okay, recreation.
Yes.
Okay, the governor has ordered executive order number 133, reopening our state parks and golf courses and restoring the authority of county governments to determine whether county parks will be open or closed. Okay, this order did take effect on Saturday, May 2nd. The state parks and forests, the order allows state parks and forests are open to the public for passive recreation, including hunting, boating, canoeing, hiking, walking, running, and jogging, biking, bird watching, and horseback riding. Picnic areas, playgrounds, exercise stations, and equipment, chartered watercraft services and rentals, swimming pavilions, restrooms, and other buildings and facilities, such as visitor centers and interpretive centers are to be closed at this time. All right, golf courses are also have been allowed to open under restrictions of social distancing, and each golf course has some different things that they may implement as far as what they are concerned with on their own course. The reopening of the parks effective May 2nd, 2020, in accordance with Executive Order number 133, Aberdeen Township's park and recreation areas will remain open. All playground equipment and basketball courts are closed. As New Jersey makes continued progress in its fight against COVID-19, it is appropriate to ensure that Aberdeen residents can safely enjoy outdoor recreation with reasonable restrictions that limit the spread of COVID-19. Residents will be able to use the parks to enhance physical and mental health while maintaining the overall social distancing and mitigation requirements in place to protect our health, safety, and welfare. Activities that are allowable: hiking, walking, running, jogging, biking, and bird watching. Remaining closed are all picnic areas, playgrounds, exercise stations, swimming, restrooms and pavilions, basketball courts, and all fields of play. Please remember to maintain social distancing. And at the beachfront, okay, the hours are open from 7:30 to 8 o'clock in the evening. Please try to use those as the restriction says. We will be, anyone who's going down to the park, please abide by the signs, okay? And you will be ticketed if you do park in the wrong areas. So please help us Keep Aberdeen safe. Enjoy yourself and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Chief, are you still available?
I am.
Are you at liberty to say what you might be putting into play this weekend down at the seawall, or did you want to surprise people on that?
I was going to keep that close to the vest. We are going to have our UTV out, weather permitting. I understand we might be in for a little dicey weather again. We're going to save those for, but it's going to be a tool that's going to help us just keep people, in compliance with social distancing and staying off the seawall where we're asking them not to be. Yeah, but we have some tools that the council is kind enough to fund for us in the past, and we're going to put them to good use.
Well said, sir. Very good. Councilman Hirsch, your report.
Well, since our last meeting, there hasn't been much going on since I haven't left the house very much. However, I do want to reiterate and keep reminding our residents to please complete your census forms. The importance goes beyond just being a good citizen. It helps Aberdeen economically. It helps Aberdeen get things that we need. And it also helps Monmouth County on legislative representation. The census, and depending on the number of residents you have in each of in your town, will determine the number of representatives you have. And for those that don't remember, back in 2010, we lost 2 seats because people didn't fill out their census. We also lost school funding and aid from the federal government to help run our town. It all comes down to the census. Please fill out your census forms. Stay safe, be healthy, and enjoy life.
Thank you, Councilman. Well said. I appreciate that. Councilwoman Kelly.
Hi, good evening, everyone. During this time, and I'd just like to report on that to update you on just what we've been doing. Well, this year we're working on the Storyland. For the book department these last couple of years, and their development is still in progress. And is being grants, and the park committee will soon to discuss more design proposals. So we are still on target with our parks. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Montone.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to just update you on a brand new endeavor that Aberdeen Township has taken on, and that is on May 1st, Aberdeen Township officially launched our new YouTube channel, which can be found by visiting youtube.com and searching for Aberdeen Township NJ. Our first video on May 1st was with our mayor, Mayor Tagliarini, and he had a very special message regarding the warm weather, our parks, and reminding everyone to social distance and adhere to the guidelines put in place by Governor Murphy. Our second video premiered last night with our brand new virtual bedtime stories. Our first reader was Mrs. Karnofsky from Lloyd Road School. She was chosen in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week. We had 145 people view this episode, which is still viewable on our channel. And we will continue with bedtime story segments every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evening at 7 p.m. This Friday, our guest reader is from the District 1 Fire Company on Lloyd Road in honor of International Firefighter Day, which took place this week also. This channel will be used in the future for updates from the mayor, council, and the township administration. We'll also be rolling out our Tiny Tots program via YouTube, along with recreation programs, such as our exercise classes. We urge our residents to keep a lookout for future videos and to subscribe to our channel by clicking subscribe when viewing our channel. We currently have 93 subscribers, but since last Friday, our channel has had over 750 views. Thank you, Brittany, for setting that all up, and everyone stay safe.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And now I'd like to have Councilman Swindell give us a report on Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, let me just tip my hat out to the DPW workers who doing a humongous job down there, day in and day out. First, I would like to start by giving a first quarter recycling report. Our tonnage report is complete, certified, and submitted to NJ DEP on April 15th, 2020. The tonnage for 2019 is 18,873 dash 8.81 tons. We had in all 4 of the schools and most of the businesses in compliance this year. The shredding event scheduled for Saturday, May the 4th has been rescheduled for Saturday, July 25th at Town Hall, and that's from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. or until the truck is filled. Sanitation pickup. The manager's office has been in communication with our haulers, and they did advise us that they are still continuing with early morning pickup. They are still having staffing and manpower issues. The street sweeper has been delivered and training has started. Sweeping of roads will continue as per the calendar. Strathmore at O, F, and the W section. That's all so far. So just to once again tell everyone to stay safe and be careful out there.
Thank you, Councilman. And now I'd like to hear from our clerk if she has anything to report from the Board of Health. Karen?
You're muted, Karen.
You're muted, Karen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. With Governor Murphy's
Yes.
executive order this week, we're working with the state on setting up procedures for virtual marriage licenses. We are having a few issues that we're dealing with, and we're figuring we'll be up and running by the end of next week. So that's a good thing. We are having many calls from residents looking to get married, and we're just gonna get this thing rolling soon. That's all I have.
Thank you, Karen, very much. Now our public information officer, who is booking nighttime, bedtime story time right in front of us as we're speaking here. Brittany, what would you like to tell us what's going on with information?
First, I wanted to go over, we have a couple of things that are going on right now, but I wanted to go over the Thank an Everyday Hero lawn signs. For any residents who do not know what this is, they are lawn signs that myself and Adria Jeniton had came up with. She runs our Neighborhood Watch program in Cliffwood and Cliffwood Beach, and they are being sold for $15 a sign. All profits from the signs are going to buy food and supplies for our first responders, essential workers in Aberdeen and Matawan, and Bayshore Hospital staff. Our first deliveries actually will be taking place this Saturday, and they are going to Washington Engine, Cliffwood Fire Company, and District 1. They are getting masks that actually have each of their seals on them, and they are also getting cases of food and water to store there when they have calls. We have sold a total of 600 signs, and that's including our order that comes in tomorrow. So the order that comes in tomorrow has already been sold out. We have made over $8,000 in donations. So that's been going great. If anybody has not gotten a sign yet, you can get it through Venmo or contact myself or Adria. The information's on our website. We sent out emails and everything else. Also, we've been doing our Hometown Hero project banners. They are to honor veterans and active military in our township. We have sold over 40 of those. We have about 14 PBA members who were military that are being honored. We have multiple, residents, Just American flags that are going up as banners, and they will all start getting approved and made tomorrow. So next week they will be here. Besides that, I just have some information that I've been putting out every time we have a council meeting for anybody who's on here that would like some resources. So the first one is I hold up signs just so everybody has a chance to write down the number or the website that I'm speaking about. But the first one is 1-800-572-7233. This is for the New Jersey Domestic Violence Hotline. It provides confidential access to domestic violence information and services, including crisis intervention, referral, and advocacy. The next one is 1-866-202-4357. This number is for New Jersey Behavioral Health. It's a helpline providing emotional support and mental health information for anybody who is suffering from any kind of illness, especially during this time, or anxiety. The next one would be the COVID-19 website. It's one that New Jersey put together. It's www.covid19.nj.gov. It's a great resource for individuals looking for any kind of general information regarding COVID, meaning the virus itself, information for business owners, residents on taxes, stimulus checks, anything that you can think of with that's related to COVID-19, you can find information on this website. The next one would be our township website. Just want to make sure you can see it. www.aberdeennj.org. On this website, residents should use it to find any information regarding our departments, any posts that we put out there regarding COVID, or any updates regarding the township. You can also sign up for Nixle text messages, and you can sign up for Code Red messages on here, which we do urge our residents to do to keep updated with the township. This is also another way to sign up for Nixle, which is text Aberdeen in all capital letters to 888-777. Our next one is 1-800-962-1253. This is a 24/7 hotline for medical COVID-19 questions. Again, it's 24/7, and it's only for medical related COVID-19 questions. Our next one is just 211. It's a general COVID-19 questions, anything in general regarding, you can call and ask them for information. And we have, if you'd like to receive text messages regarding the virus, text NJ COVID to 898-211. Those are all the resources that I suggest you use. We also have on our township website a list of a ton more resources that you can find on the township's latest news. We've been sending out Nixles, email blast, Facebook updates, everything we can on a daily basis, and trying to keep everybody informed. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to any of the departments. Like mentioned earlier, the municipal building is still closed, but you can mail in your information or tax payments or call for information to any of the departments, and everybody is answering phones. And that's really all I have tonight, sir.
Brittany, thank you. You're doing a fabulous job getting all that information out to our residents, and keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to call on our CFO, Angela Moran, for an update what's going on in the financial world.
Thank you, Mayor Taglerini. I just wanted to report on what the revenues are as of today's date versus last year as of today's date. And so far, we're pretty steady. The revenues that we anticipated on being down, which we all talked about, such as the parking permits, recreation fees, marriage ceremonies are actually down. A little bit down on the construction and court. However, we are making it up in what the pilot payments because of the lease up portion of the pilot agreement. So that makes up for what we're losing in miscellaneous revenues. In addition to that, I took a look at the collected amount for, as of today, for the taxes alone, and we're pretty much on target. Last year at this point, we collected 90% of the total taxes for the first half. This year, we've collected 83%. However, there's a lot that is sitting on the desks waiting to be input into the system. The money's in the bank, but we have to put it into the system, and we had well over $750,000. So we're at most, as of today, we might be $750,000 behind, which is not bad at all. I was expecting a lot worse, especially with the situation that taxpayers can have an extended time period to pay. Most of the people that have been talking to us on the phone have said that they do want to pay their taxes within the normal time limits. They don't want to use the extended tax period. So I'm sure that's a good thing. In addition to that, I did review the local finance notice that came out from the state about maybe a few days ago, point by point. And I think every single item that they recommended, we already had discussions on, whether it was maximizing budget flexibility as far as reviewing revenues and banks and the trust accounts, alternative method of calculation for the reserve for uncollected taxes. This year, as in most years, we have gone with our portion to use the percentage as opposed to the 3-year average, which is something that you use in times of stress and distress. As far as the capital fund is concerned, we're well funded as far as the projects that we will be doing going forward. And as you know, we also did refinance with the Municipal County Improvement Authority just recently. That was one of their suggestions. We just did that. And also we're closing on the Woodfield project Wednesday. So we have a couple of numbers to finalize there, but so far it doesn't look bad. Not yet. Sure and steady wins the race.
Well, Angela, it's a credit to you. I know one day the council was speaking about what the finances would be looking like, and then we got a hold of you and Brian, and you already had told us you started working on a revised budget, which we passed. And I can't thank you enough. Maybe I'll personally sleep tonight, but our next hurdle will be in August, and that might be a truer test. But let's not dwell on negatives. Let's say how positive it is right now. And I thank you for all your hard work on the budget. I greatly appreciate it.
I think we'll be good for this year. Next year, we may have to make some adjustments. We'll take a look at what happens in the final 2 quarters of this year. But so far, we're good. We're okay. Unless another coronavirus comes around.
Angela, thank you so very, very much on behalf of the entire council for a job well done in visiting the budget to get us to where we are today. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to turn to our attorney, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, Michael, but you know, Angela said something about pilots. Could you please tell her what those entail and where we were getting some extra financing from some developments?
Yeah, I haven't worked specifically on the direct pilots that I think you're referring to, but my understanding is that our office at the beginning of this year had gone through all of the existing pilots that were in effect in the township and have kind of, you know, re-upped on them and have gotten into them. And my understanding is that some of the payments are now coming due on these projects. Is that correct, Jackie? Is that kind of like the timing and how it's working right now?
It is. We're finally getting to the year where we are beginning to maximize all our revenues. So that's what's bringing the payments up.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being on top of it, Michael, for us. And now I'd like very much to close out our committee reports, if I haven't missed anyone, so I apologize, with our manager, Mr. Russell.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of things to go over with everyone from some other different departments as well, and some add-ons to what some of our council members have already addressed this evening. I think one of the first things we do have to talk about is that yesterday Governor Murphy did extend through Executive Order 138 the public health emergency. which was declared on March 9th for another 30 days. So that puts us, again, most likely into, I think it's like June 5th or 6th at this point of this extension. Again, only essential businesses are to be open, essential personnel is working, and essential residents are to be out doing their normal business for the day. Again, you stated it already, every day is a different day. You know, I do meet with the chief every day to go over the previous nights if there's any issues, what's on for the table for today, and of course the many conference calls and press conferences that we have to listen to either from the federal government, state, and county government. Today alone we had two. We both had the state and the county speaking and talking about the different issues going on. One day there's one set of rules going on or recommendations for regulations, and then the next day sometimes they change and we go into a whole different area. I think our big testament was last week with the really nice weather and all of our the state and county parks being open, but with the nice weather, of course, everyone getting out and especially going to our beach and seawall. You know, once we got word of that, we, me and him did meet right away and get some guidance that we needed, and immediately put into our plans of making sure that the beach and seawall had social distancing, that the parking lot would be addressed properly for the 50% capacity of usage. And that actually worked hand in hand with our DPW. Because we had to take them off a project that they were working on and have them move over to the beach and seawall because we needed some stuff put together that we felt, especially through the chief taking a very good look down there on some social distancing issues that we thought were needed at that time. Some temporary barricades, some will probably be permanent barricades, signage put up both in English and Spanish all throughout the seawall and the beach and at the fisherman's parking lot. Added additional garbage cans that needed to go out because we saw that there was some areas that people were leaving garbage that normally wouldn't be there, or we thought that maybe you know, it would alleviate some more garbage issues with residents being around, with some complaints from residents that live on some of the streets surrounding that area. So it was a good team effort this past week of everyone making sure that the township was ready and prepared for this, and we kind of have an idea of what's going to go on forward, even though we've, you know, the township has handled this before, but not under these situations and issues. So again, between everybody, the police department, DPW, the administration offices, town hall, everyone's been working really well and making sure that the town is still operational and that the residents are safe, but in the meantime, the employees are also safe as well. So again, we're running pretty smooth because of all of our staff and making sure that everyone is on the same page. I just want to follow up a little bit with from our PIO with our YouTube channel and from what the councilwoman stated. That's something we're going to start using more and more of. Again, using it for our message to get out, and just another tool that people would be looking at to get our message out within the next, and then of course we started with our bedtime stories, but also in the next week or two, we're also working on the recreation component of our programs, and we'll start putting some of our programs on there as well that people can't go and do now at our community centers or the senior center. We'll be able to announce on our social media sites, and then you'll be able to go on the YouTube to possibly do yoga or meditation and other different recreation programs that we have, line dancing and arts and crafts. So again, for people that can't go out and we can't do things in our buildings right now, we're going to try to bring that into your home as well and be able to handle that. So again, it was an idea that we had, and Brittany grabbed it and ran with it, and you know, started something else that I think is going to help and make things better for the township. I'm gonna go into DPW a little bit more, some more stuff for DPW from what the councilman had, or Swindell had as well. We're still continuing, and it'll be picking up again for park trash pickups and the doggy stations and recyclables. Small projects are still going on, clearing areas on Beaver Place and topsoil and seeding around the DPW from the planning board resolutions. We're still looking at trees that need to be removed and installation of the damaged street signs and posts that are being replaced as our stock is coming in. We're still doing park projects, which of course, since we took down closed down our basketball courts, we have our rims and the backboards and new netting and the poles being scraped, painted, cleaned, and doing some extra work to make sure they're all put back and ready to go order once we can reopen up those facilities again. We also are still, basically every basketball court is being redone with their backboards and rims. Small utility projects, the Strathmore pumping station, clearing of vegetation, drainage and other drainage improvements, reprogramming of water meters, maintenance repairs to the pumping station, which is wet wells and manholes. Also, the maintenance repairs to sewer facilities of jetting troubled areas, CCTVing lines, and the sewer backups and cleaning. Maintenance at the water facilities, which is hydrant flushing. Our landscaper has been working this past month, so we are watching him between the director and our supervisors. They're all out making sure that they are following what we've kind of talked to them about, how we would like to see, make sure our lawns are being done, and making sure they're following all the schedules. Again, a reminder about the DPW yard for the recycling portion is Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7:30 to 3:30 and Saturday 7 a.m. to 12 noon. I already spoke about the signs that we're working on and that have been put in place down at the beach and the seawall, and then we'll have some other signs for social distancing that will be going up at all the parks as well. Again, our parks are open just for social passive recreation, not for full play. This past week, we finished up our brush pickup, and then they'll be doing final sweeps. We're going on today and tomorrow. The councilman also addressed the new sweeper. I know that's been a question and a lot of comments since I've gotten here from the mayor and council members. So it is here. They're finalizing the training for the operators that'll be using it. And then it'll be out and about and getting work done. So you definitely will be seeing it out there. The residents will be, I hope, extremely happy that they'll be seeing more of the roads being cleaned and properly used. I think that's it for right now for DPW. The municipal court, they are working still right now. We are still without doing actual court sessions. We are looking at probably the end of May, beginning of June to be going to a Zoom format for that as well. Right now, the court staff is meeting with team meetings with the municipal division to advise on the current procedures and handle it through a Zoom meeting. Certain cases will not be heard that way. They'll have to be put off until they can go back to a live court procedure. But again, they sent certain cases to the prosecutor so he can contact other attorneys for cases to see how they can move forward with the resolution. And we are still sending out plea envelopes to move things along without actual court appearances, and that's been pretty decent coming through the court office. On that, I just wanted to repeat too, again, anything that's coming in for finance, payments to the court, we do have our night drop box on the side of our building, closest to the fireman's flagpole. So any resident that wants to drop off payments, either for taxes, finance, court things, can all go into that night drop box, or for any other office in town hall that they need to drop something off, they can do that through there. The construction office, planning and zoning development department did ask that if they have anything that's for their office to use the front entrance drop boxes for their either payments or design specs or anything like that they need to drop off permits, it's a little bit bigger for them to fit into that box than the side night drop. So if anybody has anything for that, to please go through there. Besides that, you can reach anybody at Town Hall through the phone numbers or through emails to get a hold of anyone. Councilman Cannon already spoke about the engineering report and the work being done on the roads that'll be happening on Monday. So we're good with that. I'm just going through my list here. The construction department, still again, all construction projects that were approved prior to Executive Order 122 on 410 are still ongoing. We actually do have a pretty good amount of projects that are going on. All required inspections are being performed virtually through the video and our pictures for the time being. That's all current regulations through the Department of Community Affairs directives. Other items such as water heaters, furnace, air conditionings are considered minor work and are only inspected for final or required for final inspections. And those are all deferred to a later date. Permanent applications are still being dropped off. And like I said, if you have anything to please drop off in the front of the building drop box. And that's being checked every few hours just to make sure. Regular phone calls, permit processes are still ongoing. And our zoning office applications are still being dropped off or mailed in. They're being processed and reviewed. Our housing department CO inspections are also being performed virtually. Applications are still being accepted via email, fax, or through the Dropbox or mail. Code enforcement. I have to say our code enforcer, Ken Marr, has taken on more responsibility working with COVID issues as well, besides his regular code enforcement operations, but he is addressing all complaints that are received and performing the outside inspections on a limited basis. And then again, if there's a COVID issue that we may need to be looked at or revised, he has been wonderful and going out and reviewing those and reporting back to either myself or the chief on whatever matters that still need to be addressed that are not a full police matter. So he's been great. Zoning and planning board, those meetings are still on hold, and I will be hopefully meeting with the leadership of both boards and our secretaries and attorneys to see how we are going to start moving forward again, if it's a Zoom platform or in some other way, but we will start to get that up and running for most likely in June. Finance is given a report from the tax collector and from finance. Our tax assessor, with the time that he has now been in the office, he's caught up on all of his clerical work. He's begun updating our commercial property cost systems to ensure accuracy and valuations for the next reassessments, and is also preparing commercial tax appeals for potential litigation or settlements. So he's been pretty busy and answering other calls on tax assessing issues throughout the past month and a half. In case I know Councilwoman Kelly kind of dropped off a little bit, but I just wanted to give a little bit of extra of what she was saying. I know, like I said, she froze for a few, but the current projects, again, are Storyland, Ivy Hill, Fordham Park, and Bookett Park. Our preliminary assessment site inspections that were required by Monmouth County for open space grants are being submitted to Monmouth County in the next several days. And once that submission to the counties, will proceed with the final executing of the grant agreements. And then at that point, we will start meeting. The Parks Committee will meet with myself and the engineer for the parks to finalize designs so we can get moving on that. And we're looking at going out to bid in early June. So those projects will start middle to end of June into the summer. So I hope people will just bear with us on some of that work that goes on. And that is it on major departments. One other minor thing, it is Municipal Clerks Week, so we want to thank our municipal clerk. I know on my part, I do call her a lot every day, most likely, or on the weekends. She does keep a very tight ship and helps us out in all different ways, more than just being the municipal clerk. So I want to appreciate her. Definitely during the COVID, I think between myself, Karen, and our police chief, I'm probably on the phone most of the time with both of them 7 days a week than just 5 days a week. So again, I need to thank them for all their hard work. One other issue that just had to be addressed to the mayor and council this evening is a personnel matter. Usually we don't really discuss personnel matters at all levels. Usually that's just gone through with a department head or myself. This one's a little bit more delicate as it is on a department head here in town. The department head was Rice for this evening and has requested that any conversations regarding the department head is in public. So that person has been Riced and notified. And again, any conversation that we'll have will be here in the public session. So I just want to give a quick update to mayor and council so they understand what is going on. But, hold on one second. Thought I had all my stuff together at one time. On, excuse me, just so you're all aware that on April 29th, I gave our DPW director a written reprimand for actions that happened over the course of a couple days. In a long shot, if you just give me 1 second, as I'm going to hear some feedback, give me one. Okay, sorry about that. I live by a train. Just to give a little understanding of what's going on, there is a written reprimand given to the director, and the timeline of what goes on is on April 21st, she did notify me that an employee in DPW notified her of having symptoms of the COVID-19 virus, and that he was showing symptoms and that he was going to get tested, which was good. On Wednesday evening, she notified me that evening that the employee did reach out to her and notified her that he was positive. We did talk that evening, and I did advise her for the next morning to notify staff that an employee did test positive, so they are well aware, and that they could be monitoring themselves for any symptoms that could happen in between 2 and 14 days. Also was notified that only he was working with one employee, different vehicles, but they did work on a project together that day. We did speak about having the DPW the police bringing down to DPW the disinfectant solution and machine so they could disinfect the building again and their vehicles. That was sent down there. And then we inquired, I believe, on Thursday of that week, which would have been about to the 23rd, that other employees of DPW wanted to get tested. At that time, I did ask if anyone was showing signs or symptoms. At that moment, there was none. So I did let the director know that as per the still state guidelines and the CDC, they were only testing either symptomatic people showing symptoms at that time. But I did let her know that if any DPW employee could find a place that would accept them and take them for a test without showing symptoms, that please go and get that done, to help out and hopefully see, make sure that no one does have the virus, or try to trace and keep a track. At the same time, we were given recommendations of the administration. That was up for Friday, that Synergy Medical Laboratories was approved for testing. So I did reach out to them Friday afternoon and spoke to their director or owner, who would, after asking him, he was only testing symptomatic people and anyone in close contact with a positive employee, or I say employee, but a positive person. That we would have to fill out some state forms and then a letter from me every time that somebody would go down there to clarify that, yes, they were in close contact and please to do a test for them so they could submit that to the state. That was on Friday, but nothing, he didn't get anything to us yet at that time. So of course, no problem. We were hoping, well, at least through my office and, notifying the police chief who works hand in hand with me on COVID issues. We would see on Monday if anyone had any symptoms and get them for testing if we had to handle. Monday afternoon around 3:13, I get an email from the director's assistant, being in a CC, that they have also were setting up appointments for employees at Synergy Medical Laboratories. And that was good. I don't have a problem. I didn't have any problems with that. That's okay. I was happy to hear that. Just kind of thrown off that Synergy told me one thing and then something else the next day. But again, everything changes daily with this COVID virus. I first talked to HR and they had no idea what was going on either. So then I called down to the director and asked what was going on. And I explained that I just got an email for a CC'd email going to this company and that we were sending employees down there when I had no idea what was going on. I would have expected that I would have been notified either by a phone call or email that they were working on this, because I wouldn't have a problem. It actually would have helped me out a little bit to make sure of this and to let them know that we were also talking to the same company to handle. But The response was, oh, I didn't know the email went out yet, and I was going to let you know after I handled some timesheet stuff. Again, by that point, it probably would have been 3:30, 4 o'clock, but all I needed was a phone call or an email at some point of the day and to be kept in the loop, and we probably wouldn't have had a problem. There is a communication problem with my DPW director in my office. I've had other small issues that I've brought to her attention and asked to make sure that we don't have in the future. But this really put it over the top. I think anytime that we have meetings or department head meetings, anything on the COVID, I think everyone in our departments know that everything gets ran through administration, along with myself, the police chief, who is also our OEM director for these emergencies, that we have, that we do and follow up with other people as well. And I let her know how extremely upset I was over this, and that this wasn't to happen again. I needed some kind of communication to let me know about this, to do the testing. Again, we have no problem getting our staff tested. We want them to be safe. We want to make sure that there's no problems at DPW, at police department, at town hall. But again, we still need to have a main point of contact, which should be the administration offices. I let her know that I should be kept informed at all times of what is going on. Under Article 2, 5.4 of the town code, I do have that authority to be made aware of what's going on, as I am the head of the departments and township leadership. When it comes to that, I let her know that for now on, and this was actually made to a point once before in March, that all operational decisions are to be run by through me for final approval. All personnel matters need to be run by through me for issues. And again, I have that authority under 5.4 B, G, and H of the code book. I spoke the next day, which I believe was Tuesday afternoon, with our labor attorneys, went over everything with them, sent them my write-ups, and recommended a written reprimand with disciplinary actions to be taken. The director was served with it by email on Wednesday of last week with what the charges that I brought up and with the disciplinary action to be taken. At this time, after that, everything else is still following through on the proper procedures through our manual and being taken care of between myself and, again, our labor attorneys. That's it.
Ryan, so in a nutshell here, you set something up with the vendor, and then the department head called around you and set up their own thing by the time you called back on Monday?
Yeah, in a way, yes and no. Again, we basically had an agreement in place. I was just literally waiting for the proper paperwork that I still had to have, because even on Friday, I couldn't send somebody there without this template that the state was requiring on Friday to fill out on my letterhead with the name, information, and what is prescribed, what issues prescribed, without having a script for that employee to go down there, and then they could get tested. So he told me he was going to send that to me, most likely have it to me by Monday, and hopefully we would have something set up. We used them one other time already through the police department for our 3 officers that were that had COVID-19 and went there to get cleared to come back to work, as they offered to do that. And again, that was handled with me through the police department. And then now they were now opening up and approved by the state to now handle technically all people. So even like today, we would still use them again, and we would move forward. So, it was just, and then within 48 hours, I guess it was, processes have changed. So by the time the DPW director and her assistant talked to Synergy Laboratories, the processes that they explained to me on Friday changed, and now anybody can go down there, symptomatic or non-symptomatic, or as long as they were in close contact, could go there and get tested. And again, I have no problem with that. I would have, if I knew that morning or midday that, hey, we're talking to this, I would have said, so am I, but go ahead, continue, and just let me know what's going on. Because especially on that day, I was actually shorthanded in my office with staff, and it would actually been a
Left hand
helpful.
doesn't know what the right hand's doing, because communication. is-
Correct, Councilman. At that
I mean,
point,
look, Brian, you're new here. I knew that we were going to discuss this tonight, and I would ordinarily do this in private, but I really think it's important for you to have the background on the DPW department and the director and how we got to this place, and that what you experienced in the last few months is something that the council has been experiencing for over a year. Giving you the history of it, our last DPW director retired in 2015. At that point in time, God bless them down there. The guys had strung together, jerry-rigged everything. We have an old backhoe, we have old equipment. The guys are eating lunch on old car chairs. It was time, and it was a good break point to really revamp the entire department and turn it into what this council's vision has been for quite some time, which is to fix all this infrastructure that's 50 years old and have a on-call, ready-to-rock department to do that. And we hired a guy named Joe Clemente from JPM to run that department for a year. And then we interviewed people. I was in every interview, and everyone got the same speech with the same book that Joe Clemente wrote. The book he wrote out when he was done with his work was a report on how to modernize the DPW to a 21st century DPW and how to have it meet the needs of the parks and everything that we had planned coming. We have 16 parks and a spray park in town. We knew that was coming in 17. We knew the parks were coming in 18, 19, 20. We knew new developments were coming to pay for all of this. And instead of the money going down a rabbit hole, we basically hired a professional to tell us what to do and give us a book. And that book was given to was shown and given to every candidate and the successful candidate or director for the job. Exactly how to take the DPW department to fleet maintenance, everything from fleet maintenance to routine park maintenance and schedules to street sweeping schedules. It's all in the book. We start at the end of 2016 with the new director. We roll into 2017, and I have to tell you that 17 was pretty good. We have new facilities down at the yard. Everything's being rearranged. And this council gave the director carte blanche, essentially. We asked, what do you need? And what do you want to do? And the whole yard was moved around. The whole side is fixed. We have a new salt shed. The guys have tables to eat at. That was working great. But we've never reached the next level because of a lack of communication. And honestly, I think like I said, I'll do this in private, but the employee opted to have it in public. I frankly think a lack of effort in raising us to be able to be a department that sweeps your suite every month, that cleans the parks, that keeps everything in order, that responds to resident complaints that are pretty serious. And this isn't, something I came up with. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you that and I want to put this in perspective as well for you, Brian. Okay. This council, I don't know what everyone does every day. It's not my job. Our job is to represent the people, to put money and to set policy into what's going to happen and set the vision for the town. Not only that, we go out and we tell people door to door what we're going to do, and then we expect it to be done. We put $1 million in this department 3 years in a row. In 2019, half of it wasn't even spent to move us forward. Going back, we have offered employees, equipment, any resources that are necessary. In fact, at the end of last year, and I'm going to get to this after I bring you through some of my examples, we were told we don't need anybody else. And from my perspective, as someone who's not there every day, that makes no sense given what I've been seeing around town. And moreover, as we've changed managers, and as our last manager is getting ready to retire, and as everyone does to retire, they're not paying attention to every little pothole on the road, the accountability for the director of the DPW department has gone off a cliff. And so I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And so that you have the full history of not just like this one communicative instance, but the notion that nothing comes from this group here and filters down to there. You can't, because we were very clear in 16, 17, and with our budgeting, we brought to a point in 2020 where you were there for the strong argument, let's call it what it is, argument with the DPW director at our budget meeting, when she arrived with the exact same budget from last year, copied and pasted, and didn't even bother to change the numbers. And I'm not sure if that is supposed to mean that we're not paying attention up here, because we clearly are, or if we just don't want to put the effort into actually determining what we need and executing the book that we paid for as taxpayers to put together a department that can respond to resident needs. And I'm going to show you some of those resident needs and some of the things that have gone on here in the last 2 years that should really, in this situation you've just experienced, you could take this as the background to understand perhaps where you landed. So this council obviously knew we were doing the parks. We have harped on park maintenance here for I can't even tell you how long. This is a picture of Cambridge Park in July 2019. This is 2.5 years after the director was given the book that said, establish a regular park maintenance schedule. This is a kid on a swing, and this is the way that we're maintaining the park in the middle. This is from July. By the time we get to August, I'm texting the manager, Dan Mason, at that point. This is our text chain. And at this point, I know that as a council member, I've approved the purchase of $60,000 worth of mulch in April. It is now July, and that's what the park looks like. So I text the manager. I think, where's this mulch? He has no idea. I ride around. I found it. It's behind the community center. There's $60,000 worth of mulch piled behind our community center, sun bleached, because it's been sitting there for months. So I told the manager that. He texts Sandra, is there mulch piled up behind the community center? If so, can you move to Cambridge Park under the swing set? Sounds like a reasonable request considering we bought it 3 months earlier and no one's moved it. He writes back, we could do it. We could do it. No, that's what your job is to do, is to go do it. It was supposed to be done 3 months ago. So the communication issues are not limited to you, Brian, and anything that you're doing. And I can go on throughout 2018 and 2019. Here's garbage pails at the Fisherman's Lot in August of 2019, completely filled with garbage. Now, the council, when we put together the seawall and the park, we knew people were going to come with garbage. So we put, I think, almost $80,000 in the budget to buy garbage cans. These garbage cans are something I could buy at Home Depot. That's why they're overflowing. They don't hold all the garbage. Now, as a council person, what am I supposed to do? Buy the garbage cans? I told them this was discussed with the manager, and all my council members can shake their head, yes. This was discussed at length. I mean, to ad infinitum. This is what our beach looks like that summer. This one is where I say we failed to meet the level of expectations. So here's number one. I coach T-ball. I coach for my kids. In March of 2019, I went to Midland Park to coach one of my first baseball games with my kids. This was written on the wall behind me. I had to bleep it out because that's the F word with my 5-year-old T-ball team. That was in March. I'm a council person. The people on the team know it. My name was plastered all around the town last year. They're going, what's up with this? I don't know. We try to communicate through the channels because I don't call department heads and tell you what to do. I always call the manager because that's what our form of government is. So how this gets lost in the shuffle all the way to August when it was finally removed after I coached 2 T-ball games in front of it. I had to go back there with the same parents and explain why it was still there 2 months later. By August, we get the graffiti off the wall. That's not the level of service that's detailed in the 2016 report. And that's not the level of service that's been expected by this council or relayed down the chain of command for years.
Councilman, just...
And I want to go for one more on this one here. So this is Midland Park. This is a park that is less than 18 months old at this point in time. The field is grown over. So when I'm asked, how do you know, Councilman Cannon, there's not a park maintenance schedule at the DPW like called for by the 2016 report? It's because this park this is home plate at a park that's 18 months old, completely covered in grass. So I complained about that because, frankly, it's a joke for me to walk around town and claim that I built a brand new park when it looks like that, right? And I'm running for election last year. So I knocked on some doors. People were like, hey, what are you doing in Midland Park? That's what I found in July of 2019. So I went through the manager, went down the chain of command to try to communicate to our director of the Department of Public Works that this is not an acceptable manner in which to maintain an 18-month-old park with the entire field grown over. I don't even know how this, I do know how this happens. You don't do anything. So this is the job I got in response in September. Here's home plate. We drug it over a little bit. Keep in mind, this is my brand new park.
Councilman, we're having a problem seeing, I'm only getting that one picture. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm only seeing the swings at Midland Park. That's it.
At Cambridge Park?
Sorry, Cambridge, yeah.
Okay, well, we can go back to, I can put a PDF up and have it work. Are you waiting for me to share?
Yeah, I think you should be able to share. It says you can.
Says I cannot share screen while the other participant is sharing, so someone else is sharing.
All right, let me make sure it's just not me here. Let me try this. All right, go ahead. Try that now, Councilman.
There we go. So did you see Midland Park, or should I show you that one here?
We saw Midland Park. That was a child on the swing
No,
with the
this
grass
is
coming
Midland,
through.
that's Cambridge Park.
Okay, there we go. We didn't see this one yet.
Okay. Did I explain you the mulch issue?
We saw the mulch issue, and then you had something about some
So
vulgar
here's
language
Midland
on
Park
it.
18 months after we created it. Most of the field is grown over. Here's home plate. Are you seeing all this? You getting this now?
No.
I understand why.
Getting nothing.
How about now?
We got
Midland
the
Park.
field. Yeah, Midland Park field with the backstop again.
Correct. Here's the fields. Let's see here, share. Oh, I see how to do it. Okay. This is 18 months after we opened this park. Can you see Midland Field, top shot from behind home plate?
Yes.
Yep.
Backstop with the grass nearly approaching the pitching mound?
Yes.
Mhm.
If you ask me how I know the director doesn't have a parks maintenance schedule and never had one for 3 years after it was given to her in a book in 2016, this is how I know. And it goes beyond that as well. So that's parks. That's the council's, maybe our concern. Maybe there's other more important things to worry about. I want to get into what is not. This is Edgeview Road. Share screen.
Got it.
You got that there?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is November of 2018. And this is how I found out there was a problem there, if we're talking about communication problems. I saw on the internet, on Facebook, that there's a lake on Edgeview. I learned that it had been existed there for 6 months. And after I went through the manager to try to get it fixed, a pump sat there for another year. So whether the director thinks the council is silly and how they're obsessed with parks or not, this is not an acceptable level of service for our residents. They sat with a pump on their street for a year, and this was 6 months before there's a council person that even knew this was happening. That's what I want to talk to you about in terms of giving the background of communication issues with the DPW. And I could go on and on. I could show you pictures all night. But here's another good example of resident service. So I'm going to share this with you. Okay. Let's see, share. So I'm sharing this with you. This are issues that of resident, this is not even close to the resident level of service that we expect or demand of this position. I don't know how this happens. It's, like I said, lack of communication, lack of effort. So God bless this guy's heart. He lives on Stemler Drive. On August 30th, 2018, he emails our DPW director, hello, there's a hole forming in the street at the mouth of my driveway. My address is, and I blocked it all out so no one knows who he is. Cliff, a guy can be reached at, and gives his phone number. September 4th, 2018. Reasonable, 4 days later. Thanks for letting us know. We'll fill the hole when we get to patch. Guy's perfectly reasonable, our resident. He waits till January 7th when he sees some people doing some work around. And he says, I've noticed they started patching on County Road. Just wondering, will they be on Stemler Drive? So that was 3 months ago. So that generates 2 emails from our DPW director. Number one, obviously she didn't check it out tomorrow because she writes to her assistant, did I give you this one? She then responds to the resident who told her she would check it tomorrow.
Meeting. Sit down.
DPW continuously fills potholes throughout the township. We will address your concerns. Thank you for reporting.
These people can see you.
It's a bot responding to you. So
That
this
is-
is
go in there,
a great
sit
guy,
down.
obviously, extremely patient. After receiving your robot report, thank you for reporting. He waits another month. It says, good morning, your crew's getting closer to my house. On February 7th, no response from our DPW department. March 11th, 2019. Good morning, I see your crews have been out on County Road and on Stemler Drive, but no one has paid attention to the hole in front of my driveway. No response. Guy never received an email response. I know that because I knocked on his door in September of 2019, and there was still a mess in front of his house. So that's one example. Here's another one. And this is where I think that accountability, and my position as an elected official in this capacity, when we start talking about personnel, for me, it's really not about micromanaging or anything like that. It's about accountability. It's about making sure that when the taxpayers pay everyone's salary, that everyone does their job because that's what they elected me to do. We're the taxpayers' representatives. Here's an example of just not of expected level of service for the amount of taxes you pay to live in Aberdeen. July 5th, 2018. A woman on Nathan Court called complaining about a large crack in the street next to the curb about 20 feet from the hydrant when she parks her car in front of her house, and you can read the rest there, right? So there's a problem on Nathan. There's a hole in the street. July 5th, I'll check it out tomorrow. Okay, we don't check things out tomorrow, notwithstanding whether we write them or not, because on July 17th, Holly, the manager, is now getting involved. Just forwarded another message from the lady from Nathan Court. Can you give me an idea when this will be done? So if I'm a resident at this point, it's been 2 weeks. I've complained, I've gotten no response. The response that the assistant's supposed to give to the resident is on the same day. I put her location in the list of patching that DPW will be doing this year. I do not know as many other locations to do this year. We'll try to get all locations done before winter is here. This is the better answer. Please call and tell her. Just so you know, there's about 20 locations in worse conditions ahead of hers. Number one, that's not a better answer. Telling the resident that she has to wait behind 20 other people when she waited 2 weeks for a response to begin with is not an acceptable level of customer service, is a lack of effort, and the communication here, when the director isn't even calling the person, is ludicrous. So that was July 17th, 2018. Now the council may recall that in October of 2018, we received a 2.5 page long list of things that were going to be completed because we, setting the policy, said, we have all these roads in Strathmore particularly that are falling apart and in the middle of the beach, and we need to put some kind of patch repairs on them or do something to get us through the capital budget, right? So there was a whole list generated. I don't know, we did 4 of the 25, not for lack of the $500,000 we didn't spend in 2019, or the lack of the council offering contractors, or the lack of the council offering employees, or the lack of the council offering equipment. It's just because we didn't do it. And so it's now 2 years later. And Brian, this will make you look pretty good because you found it in March. Brian writes to Sandra, Sandra, when I was riding around town, I found a massive crater on Jason and Nathan Court 2 years later after we had an email chain that, again, dead-ended. Gary went and looked at the area. We have a whole response here from the DPW director about why we haven't done it in 2 years. And then it ends with Nathan Court and Jason Street have always come out in discussions to be repaired, but unfortunately they never get selected by the council. Now, Brian does a lot of emails every day, so I bet he didn't have the time, and I know he didn't because he didn't ask any of us, whether that's true. It's not true. I pulled up our road program report, and I point you with the arrows to Nathan, Jason, and the 2 Nathan Courts, because it's split in 2. None of them are in the orange area. None of them have been discussed at a council meeting or our budget meetings. So this is our job here, to have accountability. When people are getting paid with professional degrees to organize and do a job, and they're not doing it, we're here to provide accountability, whether they like it or not. And so, Brian, you have stumbled upon what we have been going through for the last 2 years, which is an utter lack of communication out of the director, and frankly, a lack of effort and not for a lack of resources in putting this entire thing together and getting this up to a level of service where we give the residents what they expect. Empty garbage cans in the parks and a myriad of list of things that we need to take care of. At the end of the day, we can farm out every other department in this town, but we all still own the roads, we all still own the pipes, and we all still own the parks together. It's frankly why you see me read the road report at every meeting or constantly harping on some kind of Department of Public Works issue. It's because in my view, it's the most important thing we do up here. Take care of everything that we own as shareholders in the town or homeowners in the town on behalf of everyone. And we have, for 5 years, put together a plan that has simply just fallen apart in the last 2.5 years and has resulted in the pictures and things that I've shown you and the results where residents just get dead-ended until there's a hole in their street that you find by chance, or that I ride by or talking on my phone at night coming home from work and I find by chance. That's not the way this is supposed to work. And you're directly hit on the point. It is an utter and total lack of communication. And how you get to the bottom of that is really up to you as the manager, as the direct supervisor, but you have my full faith and backing in getting accountability and executing the plan that we put in place 4.5 years ago and making that happen, whatever it takes and whatever we need to do to make that happen. Because we've gone completely off the rails. I've given you examples. I could sit here all night. I could speak for the next 7 hours of all the things I found around town, riding around at night over the last 2.5 years. But those are just the examples. And I don't know what else to do as a council person. So it really falls on you, other than approve the money, say people can get promoted, say people can get hired. With all that help, at the end of last year, we tried to hire 2 guys and we were told we don't need them. Well, the entire summer of 2019 led me to believe as a council person that more people are needed. I see guys flying around town all day in trucks and the garbage is still overflowing at the beach. I don't know how to fix that problem other than other guys. And I can only rely on one person's information coming up the chain, and it doesn't. And so that's what you experienced and you got whipsawed. And that's what I've been experiencing as a council person. And I think I speak for a lot of my teammates here as well, that I've been in the same whipsaw with the same person that you just dealt with for 2.5 years. And I've tried very, very hard to maintain. I haven't gone down to the yard or done any, contacted the employee around anyone else. I've always gone through the manager and done what was supposed to be legally required. And I don't get any results because, as you saw from the email chains, I don't even know this stuff is happening because the manager doesn't know it's happening until she calls down there. So that's where you're at. That's what you're dealing with. And you have my full faith and backing to do whatever you need to do to restore accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I will say, and I know we need to move on, but I will say that recently and previous, we've asked, and I am getting daily reports of what the work orders are, so I can review and see what projects are being worked on, unless it's an emergency and something changes. And if something has to change in the work order, I am reviewing those as well. So we are, I'm trying to work that way at this point to try to better the communication. And I will be forthcoming with updates as time goes on. And I thank you for your comments and what you brought today to the meeting.
Thank you.
And Mr. Manager, first of all, thank you, Councilman Cannon, for that in-depth report of how we all feel. And I know the current manager has been brought up to snuff really fast, but it was so bad that the previous manager had before, during, and after pictures being taken care of, being taken just to show that work was being done but it was forced to be done with that system, or else there was no proof jobs have started, jobs were being worked on, and jobs were completed. And I know Brian and I have talked about that, and he may implement it, but he's the man at the seat right now. We have the utmost trust in him to do it. But you're right on every point you made, Councilman, and we thank you for that. And what's really sad was getting back to Edgewater. You know, we pride ourselves in taking so many calls, helping residents, that when that issue hit a New Jersey State Senator's office, that was my last straw, because we have been so successful in recognizing what has to be done in our great town, that for that to be brought out of our town to a state senator's office because they felt it was falling on deaf ears was very disheartening. And
Brian, I want to be clear on that issue as well. You're going to hear every excuse in the book that the guy didn't want to give us an easement, it was around his house, and all of that is 100% true in the first few months, not for the following year that the pump sat on the street. And I want to explain this too. Every time we've reached a point where it is unexplainable, like you can't go in front of the person's house and explain to them how you operate a full service DPW and there's a pump on your street for a year, right? Every time it reaches that point is really when the first time we've known half the time. And that's the communication problem that is really at the core of it. That if we're in charge of the customer service and there's an operations department, then they have to communicate, or vice versa. There's a disconnect that is really, it's really damaging to the image of the town, and it doesn't make people feel like they're getting their money's worth, which is what we're up here to do. And it's frankly what I promised people. So thanks for obliging me tonight. I appreciate it. But I just want to make sure that you understand the full breadth of where we're coming from.
Hey, Brian.
Thank you. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I know, Greg, that outstanding what you reported tonight. I just want to let you know that, we've spoken about this, and it's the entire council that also feels the same way that Greg does. And you have our backing on anything that goes forward. The entire council. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
okay, I think that was part of your report, right, Brian?
That was really the end of my report. Again, it was just to give you an update on what was going on, and if anything else after that, I will give updates as needed.
So
Rather than that, the manager's report is complete.
Okay, thank you all very much. It appears to me that we're on to agenda item number 5. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where we will, you'll indicate to our manager if you have a comment or a question on the agenda items only. So look at the agenda. This is not the time to bring up anything as we would say new business, but if it's something that's on the agenda item and you'd like a question or a clarification, this is the time to do it. So Brian will indicate to us if anybody has a question on agenda items only.
Again, you can use the raise hand function. You can use the reaction thumbs up button or any email. I am looking at my emails right now to see if anyone's put anything in, if anyone wants to speak on agenda items. At this point, Mayor, I see no actions by anyone.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manager. What I'd like to do is, if my notes are correct, call on Councilman Hirsch for a motion on the minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. To the mayor, deputy mayor, and my fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting, executive meeting, and public meeting for September 16th, 2020.
Second.
That was for January 16, 2020.
I'm sorry. I'm having a little technology problems and I couldn't get up the agenda for the dates.
That's it. Second?
I'll second.
Seconded.
Councilman Cannon.
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone.
Yes.
Councilman Swindell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yes, thank you very much. Now I'd like to move on to 7A, and I'll start it off. Ordinance number 40-2020, introduced and passed on first reading by title on April 16, 2020, and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press of April 21st, 2020 will be submitted, and that it's noted that a copy of this ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies were available to the general public upon request. Madam Clerk, will you kindly read the ordinance?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 9, Traffic of the Code of the Township of Aberdeen.
Okay, maybe at this point, would Anthony or Michael like to comment on this for the general public, what exactly this means? Is Anthony still there?
I'm here. The easement one again?
Yes.
Sure. As I had stated earlier in the workshop, this
isn't the easement. This is Lakeshore and Laurelhurst.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, this is the second reading. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the stop sign one?
Yes.
Yes, I apologize. Yeah, so this is the stop sign ordinance that was introduced. I guess the last meeting was 3 weeks ago now, not 2 weeks. This is just putting into place a stop sign that my understanding is the council was working on for some time to be put in that place. I know Councilman Cannon had been asking for it for a while, so this is just finalizing that and putting it into place.
Thank you. Now I'd like to open it up to the public if there are any comments for or against this passage. Brian, you can indicate if you see.
I'm looking. Yep, I'm looking. Okay, sorry, I have to go 3 pages or 3 screens I'm looking at now.
All right.
No, Mayor, I see no one at this time.
Okay, great. Then I'll call on Councilman Kelly to make the motion for this.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make Mayor and I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 4/2020 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published by time.
Connie, you're dropping out.
Oh, I'll try it again. All right. To the mayor and my fellow council persons, I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 4/2020 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published by title in the May 12th, 2020 issue of Asbury Park Press. Did you hear that?
Yes.
You got it.
Second.
We have a second on it also. Thank you.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yes, thank you very much. And now I'd like to call on Councilwoman Montone for item 8A, please.
Mayor Tagliarini, Deputy Mayor Martucci, and fellow council members, I would like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 5/2020 on first reading by title, and to order the same to be published by summary in the Tuesday, May 12th, 2020 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it will be further considered for final passage after public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on May 21st, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. in the municipal building of the Township of Aberdeen at 1 Aberdeen Square, or through Zoom broadcasting.
Second.
An ordinance of the Township of Aberdeen authorizing the acceptance of a permanent drainage easement over and through portions of land commonly known as 38 West Concourse in the Township of Aberdeen, Monmouth County, State of New Jersey. Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yes, thank you very much. And now I'd like to call on Councilman Cannon, if he would be so kind as to handle 8B, please.
Yes, Mayor and fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda, which consists of resolutions 2020-75, 2020-76, and 2020-77.
Second.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly. Councilwoman Kelly? Councilwoman Montone?
Yes.
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 Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yes, thank you very much. And we did have it on as an agenda item. I think most of the report was done during the management report. So we do have number 9 for the personnel issue of the Public Works Director. I have no further comment. I don't know if anyone else does. If not, I would ask Mr. Rivera if he'd just like to keep his ears open right now. If anybody, if you'd like to make a comment or two at this point.
Thank you, Mayor. So again, my name is Ramon Rivera, and our firm serves as labor counsel for the township. And I believe most of the details have been summarized, but just to emphasize that this is a personnel matter, which is typically discussed in closed session, but the employee, Sandra Caceres, asserted her rights under the Rice Notice to have that discussion in open session. It is a disciplinary matter for insubordination and failure to follow proper communication protocols on a repeated basis, which led to a reprimand and a suspension of 2 days is what the discipline is. I wanted to clarify that. The employee has grieved the discipline, and it's at the first level and it's pending. And the employee has also filed a complaint under the township's anti-harassment policy, which is being reviewed as well for merit. So I wanted to make sure that you had just full understanding what was going on. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Also, remember, this is not a voting item, and there is no hearing at this point before the council. This is being presented as just for information purposes about what's going on with this particular employee.
Mr. Rivera, thank you very much for that summary. And if there's nothing else on this particular matter, on this agenda item, I'm going to open this up to agenda item number 10, which is the hearing of the citizens, correspondence, petitions. We like to call it new business. So I'll rely on my manager, our host, if he sees anybody with hands up who'd like to say anything on any type of issue at this point in the evening.
So far, nothing on email. Again, you can do the raise hand option or the reaction buttons. And I do have to go through 3 screens, so please bear with me as I keep checking.
Okay, you can do it twice.
Okay, at this time, let me just check my emails one more time. At this time, I see no one raising hands or giving a reaction button.
Okay, thank you, Brian, very much. The next item, and I'm glad our town attorney is here, Mr. Gell. Since we don't have executive, am I just going to pass number 11, sir?
Yes, we have nothing to speak for an executive tonight, is my understanding, Mayor.
Very good, thank you, sir. So at this point in time, I will just give a quick closing comment before I ask for an adjournment. And first of all, I want to thank everybody who spent the evening with us. And also, something we didn't bring up tonight, I just thought of it as we were meeting. I hope you have all received our latest newsletter in the mail. We're doing our very best to keep you informed with the latest information on everything that's going on, as Brian has said, from White House phone calls that we're on and county and state calls that we're on. So on behalf of all of us, I wish you all good health and stay safe, stay home, practice social distancing, and when you go out, why don't you wear a mask? And also Sunday is a very special day to a lot of the folks I see up on the screen. So to all our Aberdeen mothers and grandmothers, a very happy Mother's Day to all of you. And I'm sorry to say that this year's best gift that you can possibly give mom is stay home. Call her, Zoom her, FaceTime, Skype, house party, whatever you're using. So this year, it's probably best to say hi to mom on the phone. So again, very happy Mother's Day to all the moms. The council and I send you our deepest blessings for good health. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't say that a mom herself, and probably the finest clerk in the United States, it used to be the county, and then we graduated to the state, but we knew better. And Karen, you are that good, and a very happy Mother's Day to you too. So
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out, and I would like to take a motion to adjourn from anyone.
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming out, and
Thanks, everybody.
we'll see you in a couple of
Good night,
weeks.
everyone.
Thank you all. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Be safe, everybody.